All right, guys, welcome into the show here. We're about to get started in a moment. Oh, just spilled it myself. Come on, baby, please work. Hey, come here. Bug, come here. Lay down. Already hit with an ad on my own live. Thanks, YouTube. Come on. Just charging you all fucking day. Get your bone. Go on, in there. Go. Lay down. Bastard. I swear horizontal doesn't work. Something's wrong. Check, check. There we go. Check, check. Okay. Sound check. Check, check. There we go. Checking your equipment helps. Check, check. Okay. I got my little heat lamp here keeping me warm during tonight's show. So, watch me eat chips. Wasn't expecting to rain, so I hope that's not annoying. Damn, I forgot to write show notes. Well, tonight's show is going to be about how to pick the right chainsaw for you. Is water dripping on my camera? Bruh. I can't tell if there's anyone in here. Where's the... Damn, I forgot to write show notes. Well, tonight's show is going to be about how to pick the right chainsaw for you. Well, I guess I'll just talk to myself. See if people come in over time. Sometimes you gotta talk for live to work. Well, if you're new to chainsaws and you're wondering what type of chainsaw to buy for yourself, the most common mistake a lot of people make when they go to get their first chainsaw is they buy a cheap one. They think I'm only going to use it 2 or 3 times a year, or when I go hunting, and I only cut little wood. So why would I buy an expensive chainsaw? Whether it's expensive in general or expensive to their budget. And that obviously leads to them buying the wrong chainsaw for their needs. Most times, 60 to 70% of the time, you'll get away with it, but you'll be buying a new chainsaw or repairing the one you have way sooner than you want to. Well, now we can teach you some steps on how to feel better about picking the right chainsaw. And that's going to start, and these are all my opinions. I'm not a professional sawyer. I'm not a steel gold tech. I'm not a logger or an arborist, and I'm the first one in my family to use a professional chainsaw. Why is there a cop stopping at the edge of my driveway? Go away. Man, I try to go live and it rains on my gear. It's crazy how much stuff can happen when you want to do something content-wise. My opinion on picking a chainsaw, the first thing to consider is going to be bar length. Depending on how big of a bar you need to run on your chainsaw is going to determine how powerful of a chainsaw to buy. So if you need to cut 10-inch wood, 20-inch wood, 30-inch wood, then you'll know more about what type of power head, what type of chainsaw to buy that will run that bar length. If you're cutting 20-inch wood, you could probably get away with an 18-inch bar. I don't think they make bars much shorter than 18 or 16. I think they're 16 to 14 on really small saws, but those are so small, most people aren't buying that small of a saw, like an NS 180. But when you're buying a 18-inch saw, obviously you're thinking I can cut both sides of a 20-inch log and be fine. Theoretically, that is true. But there's a time where a 24-inch to a 20-inch bar cutting 18-inch wood makes much more sense so that you don't have to end up cutting from both sides. The second consideration, after you've determined what size wood you're going to cut and going a little bit over, I knew water was dripping somewhere. Where did that one just go? Is going to be professional grade or homeowner grade. People get really scared of a professional grade saw because they think I'm not felling trees, I'm not a logger, I'm not an arborist, I don't use it every day. But that doesn't mean that it's not the right saw for you. It might be overkill, sure, but that doesn't mean it's the wrong saw. I'm still drinking coffee. That's crazy. Oh, they do work. What? Also, I think there's one person watching. If you need to save money on Brunt boots, there's a link in the description where you can save $10 on an order of $60 or more. You can save $10 on an order of $60 or more. It's a never-ending echo. Okay, so I'm gonna ask chat here. My dog is sitting in the rain, chewing on his bone. Yeah, it's only 4:30. It feels like it's 6 o'clock. It feels like it's almost 9 o'clock at night. It's so eerie out right now. Cutting softwood or hardwood isn't going to change what type of saw you would buy. If you're cutting a 20-inch softwood versus a 20-inch hardwood, the same saw is going to cut the wood the same way. Now, the hardness of the wood, you're not going to compensate for that with a bigger or faster or better saw. It's not ethical to go buy, if you wanted a 462 or a 500i and you're like, but I'm cutting maple, so I should go get a 661 or an 881 Magnum. No, those saws are so heavy and they're so big that you don't need all that power to hang on to. A 362 to a 500i is going to do just fine. for what you're doing, whatever wood it is. It's just, if the wood's denser or harder, it's going to cut a little slower, or you need a better chain or a different type of chain. I mean, you only got so many options when it comes to designing your own chainsaw. The next thing is like felling. Are you tree feller or are you bucking firewood? Are you an arborist? Are you up in the tree, or are you down on your knees on the ground at the trunk? I don't cut trees down. I'm not a feller, and I've only felled a few trees in my life because I buy logs from loggers. But someone made a good point that a full wrap, when you can see here, I don't know if you can see, this wrap goes all the way around the chainsaw, 270 degrees, well, 180 degrees, like a horseshoe. And sometimes when you're felling trees, you need this flush side here to not be in the way of getting this chainsaw lower to the ground. So some fellers like a half wrap instead of a full wrap. I prefer a full wrap, just more handle to use when you're using a chainsaw. Let's see. Limbing or pruning? Pruning isn't really a chainsaw choice. Sure, you can buy a small chainsaw to do pruning, but that's more like a handheld Milwaukee, like a single-handed operation, battery powered. And I don't mean like a top handle. That's still a double-handed. Well, you can use them one-handed, but that's still more of a two-handed style saw versus a pistol grip Milwaukee or steel. I think it's like the S26. I forget what it's called. The little steel, the G26 or G46A or something like that. Steel handheld chainsaw. Now, limbing, I have talked to some loggers that they say limbing can decide what type of chain you prefer. A semi, skip, or a full comp. Or you got the semi skip, a full skip, or a full comp. A full skip has less teeth, semi skip has more teeth, and a full comp has the most teeth. And then there's full house, which no one really uses full house much. So give it a shot. I think when you're limbing, if you're standing on the tree with your corks on and you're limbing and you're cutting this small branch, full skip can cause better kickback, more aggressive kickback, since you're using the nose of your bar more, specifically the top quarter where kickback occurs. Then yes, a full comp can be a smoother transition, having more teeth, so that when one happens to hit selectively, it's not as much forceful kickback versus a full skip would be. So full comp is better, I've been told, for limbing. Then obviously you can still buck with it, sure. But the problem that people run into when they run a full comp chain while bucking is that you're just dulling more teeth. You're pulling more metal through. The chain obviously probably weighs 20-30% more in weight, in mass. So you're just pulling more weight with the same chainsaw horsepower. Not that that's wearisome, it's just the fact of the situation. Another one I get asked sometimes is the milling, like an Alaska mill, the kit you put on a saw to cut horizontal slabs out of a log. And that comes down to me, the only two saws that I recommend for milling is the 661 and the 881. You can go get the 066 or a 660 or an 080 or a 036 AV, I think it's called. It's like a big different type of saw. The 500i does make slabs pretty well with an Alaska mill, but to me, it's just not the right saw for that long term. And that's obviously my opinion. You can look at the facts on Reddit and Quora and our logger forums and stuff like that, where people have thousands of hours on a 500i. That doesn't mean it's the right saw just because it works. Now, that doesn't mean that one won't work for you, but I wouldn't buy a 500i to mill with an Alaska mill, regardless of how well it's performed for someone else. I've ran one. I was impressed. To me, it's 10% more power than a 462 and $300 more, and it uses way more fuel. The fuel tank is about twice the size for the same run time, where you might get 10% more woodcut. Occasional versus professional use is one of the biggest ones. The MS-170, the MS-180, the MS-250, the MS-311, 391. There's probably one other one I'm missing in there. I think like the 270 is they're all homeowner saws, plastic crankcase, and non-assistive pull starts. I think they make the C model, the 261C, the 251C is a comfort. It has a different type of coil pull start where it helps the coil and the pull start spin for you. It's like a pre-spun assist, mainly for like older people that have shoulder problems or that need assistance starting a chainsaw. But when you're occasionally using a chainsaw, buy whatever is in your budget. I would stray away from the 311 and the 391 because they're just high horsepower home light models with plastic crankcases. A lot of people overheated them, let them sit idle too long, let them in the sun, vice versa. Made a mistake that a professional chainsaw wouldn't have become faulty if the same mistake was made. So also the ego, it says here to match the saw size and the power to the job, not the ego. Some people think they just need a 661 because they want all that power. I logged for a guy for 3 months, cutting 30 to 40 to 50 inch ponderosa pines in half and putting them on the log truck. And I used a 661 once. It was a 660, probably a 20-year-old saw, and that thing ripped, but it was to cut a 36-inch tree in half, then I put it away. And I was using an 040 or a 441, I think, or a 442 or a 440. I can't remember. It was a 440, I believe, which is pretty much a 462 20 years ago. It's just, it's heavy. They're heavy, they're big, they're annoying. And the power is, you need the power mainly for felling. If you're cutting a log on the ground for firewood or cutting a tree already down, you can get away with a very weak saw if you have the right technique. It's just going to take you a little bit longer time. So obviously, people get confused with CC, cubic centimeters of the engine, the displacement, and equals more horsepower. You can have, I don't know the specifics between CC and horsepower correlation, but it's not always the higher the CC, the higher the horsepower. The horsepower is determined by the flow and the operation of the engine. The CC is just literally the cubic centimeters of the cylinder. If you were to fill it with fluid, let's say. So you can have a 80 cc chainsaw only make 4 horsepower. You can have a 72 cc chainsaw make 5 horsepower. So I have less cc than you, less volume, but the way it operates inside and the flow creates more horsepower. Oh, there's the bar length. So the rule of thumb, it says for bar length from stihl-and-husqvarna.com is 2 inches past the diameter of the wood you want to cut. Now, if you want to cut 10-inch wood, you don't need a 12-inch bar. That's too small. You just need like a 14, 16, 18. And always go to the biggest one possible. It's not that the bigger the bar, the more dangerous. That's like saying a long or a short barrel is more dangerous. All guns are dangerous when you look down the barrel. Chainsaws aren't more or less dangerous because of a longer or bigger bar. Sure, you have a more susceptibility to cutting your toes if you're not used to a long bar. Like me holding a 32-inch bar, it goes in the dirt. Me holding a 28-inch bar, it doesn't touch the top of my boots. So it says here like something like the MS 180 to the 250 is a homeowner light duty, weekends, pruning, cutting little trees, going camping, hunting, or fishing, throw in the back of the truck kind of saw. Once you get to the MS 261, the MS 400, or the MS 362, then that's the beginning of the professional lineup. And when it's professional, it's not like you have to go cutting trees down, you have to go logging, you have to use it all the time. It's just talking about the build quality. And the MS 400 has the new magnesium piston. I think it's just the top of the piston is magnesium to prevent carbon buildup and have a higher heat rating, I believe. One of my old coworkers at the steel shop bought the MS 400, and actually the MS 362 full wrap fits on the MS 400 because they don't offer the MS 400 with a full wrap. I don't know if they still don't do that anymore because that was 2 years ago. And he said he loves it. He barely pulls it out because he has like an 040 that he loves. Gas versus battery versus electric. I don't know how, maybe they mean plug-in. Yeah, if you can buy a plug-in saw and run an electric saw and just put bar oil in it, genius. Genius. Don't even worry about the motor. Just get an electric chainsaw you can plug in with an extension cord and go to town. They actually make hydraulic chainsaws that can run off your tractor that use bar oil, and they're just hydraulic. They're super slow because it's one speed. There's no throttle, but still cool. I maintain 2 trucks, one V8 gas, one V8 diesel. I maintain a GX 630 and a GX 200 on my log splitters, and I have an i3 Branson. I don't know what's in here, a Kohler or something, diesel motor in my tractor, and one chainsaw. I used to have 2, one chainsaw. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 motors that I have to maintain. So the less motors you can buy, wonderful. If you like being a motorhead, go for it. I don't, it's just part of the job. Now, there's things that come in handy, like for instance, I use a Sawzall with a wood blade to prune or cut things really fast when I don't want to start my chainsaw up. If it's cold, hasn't been started, or it's been sitting for a moment. Ow, I forgot that was there. Fuck. Oh, hit my shin. Electric chainsaws are not chap rated. Remember that forever. Oh, it's me. What? Oh my God, that fucking hurt. Huh. Well, I wish I would have known that.